Okay. All right. So we're going to go ahead and start. And I really appreciate your interest in this subject. And, I'm guessing that either you are the recipient of anger or the giver of anger, or you're involved in it somehow in your life. And, maybe you've seen the side effects of it. And sometimes even as an observer, we can see what's going on, and there might be some things that you'll learn in today's class that you might be able to help someone else with, even if you're not the giver or the recipient of the anger. So there's a way we can all be involved. Gandhi is so great about, be the change you want to see in the world. And so it begins with us and us choosing peace, and even if we don't know how. So a lot of times when people attend these kinds of classes, they don't know what they're looking for, but they're drawn to it. There's something that's calling them. And even if they've done work before and they're still stuck, or they're feeling a call, it's like, you know what? I want to do something about this. I don't know what it is, but I want to do something. So there you go. So you've been called for some reason to hear something today. And I hope you get one little something that you are yearning for. So have something to take notes, because I'm guessing that you're going to learn a few things that you didn't know. There you go. And some things you may know and maybe needed to hear it again. But I'm a positive mindset coach. And I see things differently than what most people do. I've been doing this for 26 years, and I have a wealth of information and experience and happy clients. So I know this stuff works that I'm talking about, that I'm going to share with you. So anyway, just like I said, some of it's going to be different. So just be open to hearing some new things. So there you go. Just give me an hour of being open to new. All right. Okay. So I'm going to go back and forth between me and the slides. So we're going to go back to the slides, and let's see. All right. All right. So the name, as you know, is your hidden anger hurting your relationships. And then what you're going to get is you're going to learn three keys to crack the code on anger so you can create lasting, loving relationships. The idea is lasting. A lot of people, will have a loving relationship here and there, but when they don't last, it doesn't feel good. And we wonder why? Is it us? What is it? So today you're going to learn where that pattern may be coming from. And before I go on, I just want you to understand that I'm not a medically trained counselor. So if you feel that your anger is really negatively affecting your life, like big time outside of your control, please do contact a mental health professional. I work with mental health professionals as an assistant, and they send their clients to me. So I know that I'm respected in that field, but I am not trained as a medical trained counselor. So I just want you to know that. All right, so of the three keys that you're going to get today, you're going to learn why it's hard for you to receive more ease and pleasure. And believe it or not, people say they want more ease and pleasure, and then they just don't. They give it away, but they don't know how to receive it. And so that's one of the things you're going to learn today. And you're going to also learn how to feel calmer when you're angered. When someone angers you, I'm going to teach you a really powerful technique on how to repel and release that anger when you're angered by someone. And then you're going to learn why healthy boundaries is a place of safety for loving relationships for you and others. So that's what you're going to get today. And so, most of the time people think that a new love is a common, it's just like the best thing ever. And it's, it's for fixing everything. It's like this major drug that you think you can just pour on every problem in your life and it's going to make it better. But the problem is that this love drug, it's just so powerful that like I said, we can believe it'll heal all our problems, all of our hidden wounds. And that's the key right there. And we believe that this love drug, I'm calling it a drug because it is so powerful. I mean, you create countries, people start wars over this love drug. I mean, people kill and just do all kinds of to destroy their lives. I mean, it is a powerful drug. But the fact is, this drug was created for a single purpose. And that purpose was not to solve our problems and, create, a safety for all the wounds we have from the past and for today and whatever. That's not at all what it's meant for. It's meant to procreate. It's meant to draw you to someone, the opposite sex or whatever, to procreate. That's what it's for. And so when we ask it to do more than that, that's not what it's for. Absolutely. And the cool thing is some of the things, look, here we go. Letitia came back. Yeah. So, okay. We have some, yeah. So that the thing is that actually our mate is our guru, our teacher. And when you see them as that, you'll see them as it's a type of holy relationship. I mean, it's a bigger thing than just somebody to make all of your problems go away. And like, a lot of times new brides think they get married and everything's going to be great from then on. No. So when you imagine that our mate is our guru or teacher, you put, because the closer that we are to someone, the more they know our buttons to push. And those buttons are, our inner wounds. And because I do believe that all there is love, we live in a loving universe. We're made of love. That's what we are. That's all that's real. And when anything else is not of that, it comes up in our physical body as these different feelings. And so those wounds, sometimes we protect them and sometimes they come out as anger. And those wounds, that when they come up, the idea is our mate shows us what we need to heal to feel better, to feel more joyful, to feel more peace. And so actually our mate is doing us a favor, but and that's not how it feels at the point if we don't understand. And that honeymoon stage usually lasts like 7 months after people get married. And then it starts, then those wounds before that, it's like, oh, honey, I love it when you interrupt me in conversations. I just love the way you do that. But then after 7 months, it's like, honey, you did it again. You never let me talk. You know what I'm saying? After that 7 months, everything changes. So, but if you get that what you're doing is you're becoming more familiar with each other's things that have always been there, but they're bringing up wounds in you that you need to manage and deal with. And so you can help each other. So actually those wounds, when we push each other's buttons, that's a sacred intimacy that is only possible with someone you really know well. And when you can help them heal that, what a gift. It's just a beautiful gift. So we do that with people that we're close to, but we also have a larger version of that, like even people we know, like friends or neighbors or whatever. Anyone we know close regularly is a relationship. Like we can have a relationship with somebody at the store, like that we see at the grocery store once a week or whatever. So there's different levels of that. But for the sake of this class, I'm talking about the romantic ones, those closest relationships, the guru ones. So, so again, that mate, when they know how to push those buttons, and unfortunately, that's where a lot of arguments start in an unenlightened relationship. They will use those sacred wounds that they've learned from each other in the first 7 months, and then they turn it on the other person. And it's so cruel. And that's what happened. And you see that the trial lately, of the Johnny Depp Amber Heard, and they brought up all of their awful stuff. And some of that, I didn't listen to it all. I just heard bits and pieces, but I heard enough to know that their dirty laundry was out for everybody to hear. And those were private things that when you're close to someone, when you are in that intimate relationship, you keep that stuff sacred. You don't share it with anyone, and you certainly don't rub their nose in it and remind them of it. That's not how to help yourself heal or the other person. So anyway, so the reason I was planning on doing this class even before the Amber Heard Johnny Depp stuff came out. And then of course it was ending last week. And I thought, this is a perfect timing for people to see that they may have some of these issues too. And we're going to talk about the different kinds of anger that you may not even know about in a minute. But I just want you to understand that, let's see. All right, so I want you to see this. So I'm going to show you where my journey started. So we talked about the love drug. All right, so this was me, and I was a victim of anger abuse. I was the receiver with my first husband, and I was afraid to talk, to speak my mind, and I just all my talents, and I was so talented and joyful. I had been for years, and all of that I put on the back burner, and I became like a hermit. My feelings of helplessness led to depression and social isolation. And I was a shell of the person I had been just a year or two prior. I was with him for 8 years, and I put that up for 8 years. And, I tried to leave a couple of times, and he would bully me and say things like, you could never make it on your own. You don't have the brains to do it. Nobody would want you. Look at you. But look at me. I was cute, but he made me feel like I was nothing. And I couldn't make it on my own. And that's gaslighting. Of course, that's another webinar I did another time, but that's what he did. But the fact is that my low self-confidence and what I was taught by my mother, she was a beautiful, sweet, wonderful woman. I mean, I totally, but she learned from her mother, who learned from her mother, that women give all their power to the men, and then your husband is the king, and whatever he says goes, and what you want, forget it. You got, give it all to him. And that's what I learned, and that's what I did. Only I had this bright, shiny inside that I'd been living before, and to put a water on that was just awfully hard for me, and I didn't get it back for a long time. So that was mine. I felt trapped, and I finally did leave, but it was really hard. So it doesn't have to be, relationships and learning this doesn't have to be hard. I did not know how to help myself back then, because I learned from my mother, who learned from her, as I said, and I did not have a coach or a person that I could count on. I didn't have a mentor. So I just stayed in that hole for so long, until I did meet someone, and I'm so grateful for, but it was a long time later. I was like 42 before I learned anyway. But in the meantime, I have a lot of experience to share about falling down and getting up. So I'm really good at that. So I learned, whoops, wrong. Sorry about that. Went the wrong way. So relationships, I learned the hard way that relationships are not meant to make us happy or assure any kind of permanence or security. And this is the key right here. Relationships are laboratories for self-exploration and growth. And when we can see that it's really meant in a profound way to lead us to our most potent growth opportunities, that's when we give the real power to our relationships, because it comes back to us. Then we find the real power is inside of us. And then we create strong, healthy relationships, give and take, equal, sacred relationships. It's a whole new thing. But we have to understand that when we take charge, and when we feel, when we, instead of reacting to situations, we respond, because we know how to do it. We feel our inner core, we feel our inner strength, and we know the tools, and we can respond instead of reacting. We take our power back. And when we do that, we can, we have a real sense of security and safety. So it's just so nice. It's such a difference. So outward anger, it's normal. But it doesn't have to be, we don't have to get angry all the time. But some people are angry sometime, and I am, we all get it. But, and anger actually for a short period of time can bring us out of like a powerless state or a depression state. So anger for short periods of time can move us out of being stuck. And so then we can see, wait, oh my gosh, I'm doing it again. And, not that we're using it as a weapon, but the anger can be that energy that can move us out of being stuck. But if it becomes a problem and it gets out of control, it's impacting your relationships, then it's a problem. So, so I'm here to tell you that, let's begin at the beginning. Hold on. Yeah. So I'm here to tell you, just to begin at the beginning, meaning all healing begins with recognition. So when we see we're doing it, then we can do something about it. And if we don't see we're doing it, like I was for so long, I was just repeating the same thing without realizing that I was a big part of it. I kept blaming, and that's what a lot of people do with the express the when they're on the receiving side of anger, which is, and it's same. I mean, it's the same thing on the other side. It's just, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But what I was on this, I was blaming that my husband, as I showed you, or even over time, I blame other people. I would blame other people when I was feeling victimized or whatever. But that, what that did is I was giving my power away, and I was actually, sometimes I would even create a situation that pushed their button, that caused them to be a bully or caused them to victimize me. And so that was my part in it. And so when you start seeing that you may be part of it, it's like, wow, okay, I see it. So the purpose of this class is to show you the three main areas where anger commonly originates. So, and then those are going to lead to three keys to reframe your anger and irritation. I'm about reframing. The type of work I do is not to stay in the past, not to stay in the blame and anger and all that stuff. I want to empower you to see, okay, where's the hemorrhaging starting? Where did it start? Let's work with that, and then let's move forward. And here is what to do. Step one, step two, bam, bam, bam. There's a way out. You do not have to stay in the past. So we're going to show you the three areas to reframe it and move on. And like I said, a couple of these areas are really different, but I think different is good. Let's try something different, right? And then if you know, then I'm also going to share a way that you can continue on your healing journey with me as your guide, you know, if you find that helpful. And at the end, I'm going to lead you through a process that's a powerful letting go tool to help you let go of negative emotions like anger and bitterness and resentment. It's one of my favorite ones, and I'm honored to share this tool with you that I'll be sharing at the end. So just know that not all anger is expressed outward, and most of the time when people think of anger, they think of you know, yelling and screaming and, you know, throwing things. That's not all of anger, because you can have three kinds. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So there's the outward anger, and that's the one like most people know about, like, you know, cursing and shouting and throwing things, being verbally abusive, physically abusive. You know, that's the one that most people know about, and that's the one that they're afraid of, and that's the one they blame people about. And it's easy to blame because you have something to point to. You have evidence, like in the Johnny Depp Amber Heard testimonies. They were pointing at their bruises and they were showing all of that stuff. So that outward anger has you can point to it and say, okay, that's where it is. He was angry, she was angry. But the inward anger is really, really intense. Inward anger is when you direct it at yourself. And a lot of times there is not evidence. There isn't something you can point to, because it involves negative self-talk, which is just awful. Negative self-talk, denying yourself things that would make you happy, like out denying yourself, or even basic needs like food. Some people, you know, the bulimics and whatever, that, you know, they're anorexic, that's inward anger. So they're denying themselves of sustenance that's part of what they need. So self-harm and isolation are other ways that inward anger can manifest. So inward anger is really, really toxic, and it's sad in a different way that outward is. And then you've got passive anger, and this one, most people don't realize that is just as bad in a different way. It's super controlling for sure, and that's one that will push the outward and inward anger into activation. So for instance, my mother, who, like I said, she was a beautiful, wonderful woman. She didn't know how to manage her anger. She was raised in a household where there was a lot of fighting. So she would hold it in, and the way she would manage it would be passive aggressive. Excuse me, not passive aggressive, the withholding love. So she would give you the silent treatment. And I'll tell you, I hated that. I just hated it. But anyway, so you've got with the passive aggressive, you've got subtle and indirect ways to suppress the anger. And some people think, well, I'm not angry, but they are. It's just, they're just holding it in. So examples, like I said, passive aggressive, giving someone the silent treatment, sulking is another one, being sarcastic, making snide remarks. So those all are passive aggressive. And like I said, my mother did the silent treatment, and I learned from her, since we learned from our parents or who raised us how to manage anger. I learned from my mother how to manage anger, and since hers was the withholding love, that's what I learned. So I would really withhold love, like big time. And it was like, you know, taking a knife to somebody and stabbing it in their, I mean, it hurts. I don't know if you've ever experienced that. So I'd love to know which of those three, or by the way, sometimes it's all three, sometimes we change from one to one. So put in the chat which of those you feel like you know, is one that either that's how you manage your anger, or in your relationship, that's how your relationship partner manages anger. So if you could pop it in the chat, I'd like to hear. Yeah, yeah, actually done all three. Yeah, yeah, I hear you. Trying to manage, trying to figure it out. And, you know, good for you, for Wendy, for, you know, making it work for you. But sometimes doesn't it wear us out trying to, it does. And you know, Latasha, you know what I'm saying? It wears us out when we try to manage it. And then we feel like
Definitely.
yes, yes. And then we feel like we're in a war and we got to hold it back. And then we go into our cave so we're safe. And then we're separate from everything. And we're holding a life away. We're holding relationships away. It just turns into this big mess, just a big mess when we don't know how to handle it. So, yeah, yeah, yeah. The inward one. It's just, I hear you. I get it. I get it. I get it. So, thank you, ladies, for sharing. I get it. So, sometimes people say, like I said, I don't have anger issues, because they can't name what you just learned. They don't really understand that those, especially the passive, they don't understand that that's anger. They just feel victimized of the anger. Like the inward usually will say they're a victim of anger, but they don't realize they are angry at themselves for various reasons, which we're going to talk about in a minute. All right, so here you go. So this is what I said. You know, people say, well, I'm not angry. So you ask yourself, do you feel angry often? Is your anger, do you feel like it seems out of control? Is your anger negatively impacting your relationships? Is your anger hurting others? Is it causing you to say or do things you regret? Are you verbally or physically abusive? So anger management, it could help, and, you know, begin for sure. Everybody, I think, at some point needs some of these all the time, because we're all dealing with anger. By the way, I want to add, anger is a cover up for fear. So it is all about fear. So when we can help ourselves feel safe, that is everything. It's everything, you know. And even in, you know, like what I deal with my clients, I always have us begin by solidifying the first chakra, which is about safety and security. So to help solidify that and ground it, it really makes a big, it just helps. Yeah, anger is a cover up for fear. That's true. All right, so back to what I was to say. So anger management. So this is a way to kind of start taking charge of it. So you can do one or more of these. Behavioral therapy, yes. Anger management classes and exercises, yes. Now, depending on how extreme the anger is. Anger management classes and, I said that, support groups. And that support group could be codependent support groups too, or adult children of alcoholic support groups. Those kind that, usually those people have experienced a lot of anger from their childhood. Relaxation techniques and breath work. I have a lot, like I said, a lot of therapists will send their clients to me because of what I do with people. It's an extra leg on what they do with their traditional counseling. I add to it, and not only relaxation techniques, but the positive mindset to helping people move forward out of their stuck places. All right, so now that we've covered the basic of what anger is, let's find the keys to where it comes from and how you can take your power back by stop identifying with it. Stop identifying with it. That's the key. That's the biggie right there. Start with that. So the problem is that most people don't realize that they're still running on old programs that they've created in their childhoods. And so, I mean, they've been with them so long, they don't even know it's not normal to feel that way. They just think that's me. But no, when you learn another way of being without this, you know what it's like? I'm going to my dentist appointment next week to get my annual x-rays. Have you ever had x-rays at the dentist? And you know how they put that heavy lead, they put that lead thing, like a blanket over you, and it's heavy. Okay. And, yeah, it feels good for a minute, but you wouldn't want to get out of the chair and have to walk around with that thing all the time. After a while, it would be really heavy. You say, I don't want to carry this anymore, because you're used to not having it. And you know what weight feels like. But what if that was reversed? What if you were born with a heavy weight blanket around you and you carried it your whole life and you thought that was normal? And you managed, you go swimming with it, you went shopping with it, you went up and down stairs with it, you cooked your dinner with it, everything, you're just used to it. That heaviness you were used to. So imagine feeling that. Just for a moment, feel the heaviness of that weight you've had your whole life, like in the dentist chair, and now the assistant leans over and she takes it away from you and you don't have it anymore. Can you feel how light all of a sudden you feel? And at first it's going to feel weird. Change feels weird at first, and most people prevent it from happening because change is scary, because they're so used to the pain and suffering. They don't want something new because they're used to the pain and suffering. They can manage it. They know. But something new, I don't know. But that's what this is about. It's about recognizing what you've been carrying as that weighted blanket all this time, and then lovingly find ways to remove it. It's especially good with support. Like, that's why I support people, because it's a lot easier when somebody's helping you. Okay, so the most common cause of anger, like I said, most of the time people don't even know that they're carrying it. So these are the empowerment keys. All right, so the key number one, the most common cause of anger and even irritation and blame is childhood trauma. And it comes with, it also can include family trauma that's been passed down through generations. We learn it just like I learned from my mother, and she learned it from her mother, and she learned it from her mother. And it was just what we did in our family, she said. So there's a lot of blame and bitterness and anger in childhood trauma. So I do a lot of inner child work with my clients on this one. Strengthening the child, giving her ways to find her own power, and that life can be different and she can take her power back and really feel safe in her body. It's powerful stuff, powerful. So when a child is between 0 and 18 years old, and when she witnesses or experiences big negative events, like really negative ones, it can overwhelm the child. And she wants to feel safe, but she doesn't. And she probably feels helpless. And children will find different ways to feel safe in their little bodies. Sometimes they'll become invisible, and maybe they'll go back into their room, or if they're in a room, they shrink their energy so much so that so their parents who are arguing so much won't see them, and they won't start screaming at her, So one way that children in childhood will help themselves feel safe is by shrinking and becoming invisible. Another one, sometimes they overgive and try to be perfect because they don't want their parents to find anything wrong. And it's so much work. Those children work so hard to be perfect because they don't want to cause any more problems. Another child may be overly happy all the time because the mother, maybe she was depressed in the whole childhood, and the child wants to make the mother feel good, and so she's constantly over giving. And that's a type of trauma. It doesn't have to be a one event trauma. It could be, a over time trauma so the PTSD event doesn't have to be one time. It could be over time. Anyway, so if steps were not taken to help that child, and they weren't taken to help her process that trauma, it stays lodged energetically and neurochemically in her body for life. So when I say lodged in her body, I mean it's there. And and neurochemically means, so when we're afraid, adrenaline, right? You know that's our fight or flight response. And cortisol is our anger response. And so if we're mirroring our parents, we start taking on those neurochemicals as normal. That's not normal to have that much. And it's not normal to be in fight or flight all the time. So so in that unresolved trauma, it comes up as irritation, anger, feelings of abandonment, depression, and even physical problems like heart disease, stroke, diabetes, and other chronic conditions that people have no idea that it's from their childhood trauma that was unresolved. So, and then, when the children witness the fighting and anger in the household, like I said, they learn it like that's normal. So we're teaching them patterns on how to manage anger, just like my mother taught me how to manage anger. She taught me to internalize it. And guess what? I carried it into my stomach. So I had digestive issues in my stomach because I carried that stress in my stomach. Some people carry it in, they get rashes or migraines or heart problems, or liver problems is a big one for people with anger, their anger. All I'm saying is the physical problems can begin in childhood. And when you find this stuff out, you can actually heal yourself physically. I mean, I had asthma and I've healed. I mean, that's not supposed to be healable. And I did. All I'm saying is this stuff, when you see where it's coming from and you change the original programs, everything past that starts changing too. So we learn that it's normal, like the kids who see their parents fighting a lot, they think it's normal to fight and have anger in relationships. So it's estimated that 1/3 of abused children will become abusive parents. 1/3. Self-esteem and self-trust is often lower in adults who had trauma in childhood. And there's a direct link between children who experience trauma and attracting toxic relationships and narcissists as adults. And this is super common today, by the way, big time. People I hear all the time is like, he's a narcissist. Women are always talking about these narcissists, but the fact is they have their program that expects that kind of person. They can't even imagine a sweet, loving guy because that's not part of their makeup. That's not part of what they were used to. They don't even understand it. So they're not going to, we teach people how to treat us based on our beliefs about ourselves. And so that's what we're going to attract into our life, what our beliefs are about life and about ourselves. So there's a direct link between, like I said, between children who attract narcissist adults and toxic relationships. And I spend a lot of time with my clients in the 6-month program on this and helping rewrite their childhood stories. Because when you start rewriting the childhood stories, you change the neuroplasticity in your brain for sure. And you start creating different versions of life. And you think, wait a minute, where am I? What life is this? Where am I? What dimension am I in? It's that different, but it can be that different. You just have to know how to make those changes. So creating, and then, so since this is learned behavior that you learned from your childhood and from the hereditary patterns and culture. I mean, it can also be cultural patterns. Like I had a woman who was Palestinian, and she learned about what it was like to be born a girl when they all wanted boys to, and so she had some anger about that. Anyway, so when you learn about what these patterns are, you can work with them. So healthy boundaries, it's really super important to start there. There's all these other things, but start with the healthy boundaries. Start with saying, yes to yourself more, and no to what is not working. So, all right, so here, hold on. And what you're going to, so you can begin by, so here you go. This is something I like to, this is like the beginning of all codependent healthy boundaries. This is the first one you start with, like, I am me, you are you. So because codependent thinks that they're one with, like, integrally, like the same person, especially when you've got fear involved. Fear makes it one. And so I'm saying to separate them. And so with this case, you could say, I am me and my parents are my parents. So you'd start there. And then this other one, I've got here's two more that are follow-ups with that one. I can love my parents without adopting their relationship style. I am creating my own version. Okay, so I've helped way over 1,000 people in 25 years of doing this. And this second key makes up about 75% of my clients who come to me with anger and anxiety issues. And it's amazing, but it's the science of prenatal and birth psychology. It's how we were born. Yeah, I mean it. It's how we were born. And specifically, it's about the people who were born by forceps and C-section, or who were manipulated by the doctor. So hold that thought for just a second. I just want to say the pre and perinatal psychology, it may sound like it's like, what in the world are you talking about? This sounds woo-woo, new agey. It is not. It's a well-respected leg of psychology that's been around for over 50 years in Europe. 60 years in Europe and about 45 years in the United States. And there's a pre and perinatal psychology association. You can Google it. They have some amazing information. In fact, when I had my surgery done on my hand, one of the questions that the hand surgeon had in there was, what happened at your birth? And I said to her, I says, why are you I was shocked. But they know that there's a trauma that is in us at our birth. That is, it's a PTSD event if there was a trauma. And that PTS event is, we formed a pre-verbal decision, and that as we become adults, it lives itself out. So that's what this is. So I'm a pre and perinatal psychology specialist. And in fact, I even did a class on this at Vanderbilt Nursing Midwives, because it's cutting edge, but it's also powerful, because we go to the thoughts beneath the thoughts. We even go back to the thoughts from the womb, because think about this. So you had 9 months of, like, we were in the womb for 9 months. We were in a world that was we had everything cared for. We had the food. We heard our mother's heartbeat, everything. She was, her love. Our whole world was our mother. That's all we knew. And also, the food she ate was going through the placenta into us. So we were eating and drinking whatever she ate. And of course, if she smoked and did drugs and all that, it also went through us. We know that. But it also is what she was thinking and feeling through the neurochemicals. So that is a huge part of our relationship strategy as we get older, because our first relationship was inside our mother. So what was happening then and what her response was has a huge amount to do with how our relationships are later. But let's go back to the birth. So we got 9 months of this beautiful, no matter, even if it was toxic womb, that was food, all the stuff, everything was loving. We heard and then at the end of 9 months, we're born. And for a forceps, I went like this, because a forceps at the end of 9 months, that is pain. So they had 9 months of ease, pleasure, everything, and then pain. So their first experience of life in this world was pain. So they have thoughts like, life has to be a struggle. Life is painful. Support hurts. You know, they don't like, I mean, they are super angry. Like they have this anger underneath and irritation because they were super angry at the doctor for hurting them. I've heard that if adults felt that kind of pain, they go crazy because it's so bad. Now, of course, they've changed it to vacuum, but it's still manipulation. So it's and so our doctor is our first authority figure. And so that's where the anger comes from. So the people who are forceps birth, they have this underlying irritation and anger. They don't know why. But where it's bad, where its problem is that sometimes they hold people away. They hold people away because they don't trust support, because support, they have evidence that support hurts because their first birth was support hurts. And so forget it. Oh, I'll do it. So they want to do it all themselves. They don't want support. They don't like people to tell them what to do. They don't like to be manipulated. They don't like authority. So all of that stuff is like super common with forceps birth. But the fact that they repel bonding and relationships, sometimes they even have spiky auras. I can feel it, the auras on a forceps birth person. But when they hold people away, and then they're lonely, and they don't know why they're lonely, or they don't have the loving, sweet, kind relationship that they want. They don't know why. It's because they have this inner programming that can be changed, by the way, but we have to see it. We have to find it. All healing begins in recognition. Once you find it, then we know what to do about it. And then C-section, cesarean, they have similar, because somebody else told them when to be born, how to be born. And so the planned C-section people had the thought, how dare you? How dare you tell me when to be born? How dare you tell me how to be born? So that's the how dare you is like under, they've got that, just like the forceps has the anger and irritation, like under, so the C-section has the other, the how dare you thing. All right, so I know this is strange for you, but like I said, it's fascinating, and it's super fast. It just can really speed up the transformational journey in a hurry. Okay, so I talked about the PTSD event. So these traumatic births are a PTSD event, and they can be transformed and reprogrammed with proper guidance with a trained rebirthing breath worker like me. And all trauma continues to show up through situations and relationships until they're healed. Life is supposed to flow. And when it doesn't, we've made some kind of subconscious decision about it. We have done that. We have made something. So learning what's in our subconscious is extremely beneficial to speed up our inner transformational journey. So it's super helpful that when you find out what's going on, and, again, we don't have to go through every little piece, but we find the main chunks, and then all these other things are connected to those main chunks. And it's like you're on a moving sidewalk through life. It really goes faster. So in my 6-month program, one of my clients had a breakthrough in her 3rd month, and she had never had a lasting relationship in 28 years. And she was beautiful. She dated, but 1 here, 2 here, but she didn't have a lasting relationship, and she yearned for it. She wanted to feel that, but it wasn't happening. So we worked together to find her sabotaging subconscious program. And she was a forceps birth, by the way. So you can kind of see where it came from. We replaced it and reprogrammed it. And now she's engaged to this wonderful, amazing man. I mean, I know. I'm so excited for her. I hope she's going to invite me to the wedding. I think it's going to be in August. Anyway, I'm so excited for her. So imagine how your relationships could be different if you understood these deep subconscious programs. So all they have to do is to be recognized and then reprogrammed. So often people that really irritate us are the ones that are pointing toward what needs to be healed in us. And so when we get we're finding these keys all over the place that can actually help make our life easier. Sometimes it's not easy to do it. Like I said, it's not easy to do it yourself. It helps to have somebody say, let's look over there, or let's look over there, All right, so you've learned those two keys. And let me show you the third key. The third key is empowerment. Whoops, hold on. Empowerment. So when you love yourself well, that's when you can love others well. Because honestly, until you love yourself well, all the love you give is conditional. It's not unconditional, it's conditional. And remember, we teach people how to treat us based on our beliefs about ourselves. So empowerment is about saying yes more to ourselves and saying no to what's not for our highest good. It's not selfish, it's self-preservation, it's self-confidence, self-esteem, and this, I don't, for whether you're religious or Christian or whatever, but Jesus said, love others as you love yourself. For a reason. It's that important. And it was over all 10 commandments because it's that important. So it's from saying yes and creating sacred boundaries around your saying yes, and sacred boundaries around you and loving yourself, and then keeping promises to yourself. So empowerment's about letting go of the things that hold us back from our destiny and weigh us down, including blaming others, which is actually giving your power away, as I said before. But even if you don't know what's holding you back, at least acknowledge that you have a choice in the matter. And and when you think about it, when you say to yourself, I just want to be happy, I want to be at peace, just that choice alone gets you out of the blame cycle. Even just that one little bit can get you on a whole other trajectory. So if you're willing, I'd like to lead you through a door of your empowerment. So it's the golden door that's between you and all the love and lasting relationships and all the awesome life and everything that's on the other side. And then the deal is that there's only one person that can do this. And this person has one key, and you're the one person that can open this golden door. You're the one person. And your key is your willingness to let go of the anger and the bitterness that you're holding from the past. And you're saying yes to being happy and loved, to feeling safe and feeling wanted, to belonging and to feeling powerful. The key is just say yes to it all. Just say yes. So if you're willing to say yes, I'm going to lead you through this golden door, through a sacred prayer that I have been doing for many years. It's called the Ho'oponopono process. And I thank you. I see some of you shaking your heads. And so the deal is that I'm going to ask you to, so I'm going to guide you. This is a breath prayer, and I'm going to ask you to guide it toward the door, because this door is the block between you, where you are now, and everything you want in your life. So this is your block. This is your golden door, and you can just make it open sesame with this prayer. This is the beginning. This is your first step. So you don't need to understand this process, by the way. You just need to do it and follow along with it. And this is what it's going to look like. So you're going to breathe it in through your nose at the count of 7, hold for count for 7, exhale through the mouth for the count of 7, hold for the count of 7. That's why they call it a square breath prayer. And then you're going to say aloud these words: I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. So that's it. You're going to do the breathing. I'm going to count. We're going to do this for 10 rounds. So those are the words, and I'm going to ask you to, you can either look at the door with your eyes open, or you can see that door in your mind and close your eyes, whichever one you want to do. But these are the words, and I'm going to say them with you, and I'm going to count. So feet on the ground, and imagine everything you want beyond your wildest dreams on the other side of that door. Everything you can't even imagine so awesome, it's on the other side of that door. And then here where you are right now, stuck, and life just kind of sitting there, and you don't know where you are, and you're in icky blame and all that, and it doesn't feel good. You feel like you're just never going anywhere. That's where you are now. You're going to go on the other side of this door with this. You're going to begin with this prayer. Okay, here we go. So start. Nose in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale through the mouth 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Say aloud, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. Nose 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. Inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hold 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. I love you. Thank you. So keep your eyes closed for just a moment. Notice what you're feeling. Feel that energy moving through you. All right, when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And the softening of your body is the softening of your beliefs and your softening of your thinking. Our body is condensed thought, and thoughts are condensed beliefs. So just by softening your thoughts right here and your body, you felt it. So you have two of those, 2 out of 3 of those. Anyway, so even though you don't know what it was behind, what that door behind the door would feel like, the idea is that you just gave yourself permission. You gave your body permission to take the first step and melt through the door. You don't even know what it is, but that's the idea. You don't want to know, because if you knew, then it wouldn't be new. Because all of our new is based on what we've had before. I want you to imagine unlimited. You don't even know it's so awesome. I want you to think that way. Like you have no idea what awesome and powerful relationships can be because you've never had anything like it. I want you to be surprised at how awesome life can be for you. Yeah. You can look at what other people have and get an idea, but yours is going to be so much better because it's going to be yours. So you can change and you can create a life that's totally different, where you are the master of your destiny, and transforming your mindset into one that supports you and one that you deserve and the one you're longing for. That's the key. Make it, you got to change it, that you deserve to be empowered. And I believe in you. You know, I believe that, and I know that I'm here to guide you, to help you every step of the way. I've been where you are. I get it. And I know how to get out. So just want you to know, I know what it feels like. So just from today, I'm curious, what's your biggest share that you got today? Pop it in the chat.
Can I say, or
Sure.
should I write?
No, if you can say it if you want.
Oh, okay. So, learning the different, uh, like how like, the different births affect you was something that I took because I didn't know that. I was a C-section. I was premature, and I was born 3 months before I was supposed to be born, and then because my sister and I are twins, so we had a very challenging birth, and we're the only twins in my family where both of us survived. So it was very challenging, especially back then. So we had, I don't know if forceps were used or not, but I know we were a C-section.
Well, that is a type of trauma for three months prior.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Because think about it, you were in an incubator. That so having not being able to bond with your mother is a huge PTSD event for a baby, like way beyond what anybody even realizes. It's huge. And
Yeah, we were there for a month before we could go home, I think.
yeah. And even when the moms come in and put their hands in the incubator, and it's just not enough. Babies need they need that. They've been that for, in your case, 6 months. So, you know, but one of the main characteristics that premature babies have is, so you were cesarean 6 months, at 6 months. Yeah.
Yes.
So one of them is feeling of helplessness. Is that something that you notice in yourself, that you
Um,
feel like you need help to get things done? Or maybe,
yeah.
uh-huh. I mean, I understand support's good, but yours was even more. That you couldn't survive without help, like big time.
Yeah, definitely in the past for sure.
Mhm. And then another one is uh, the not bonding with the mom, so that sometimes feeling overly responsible for what the mother went through. So do you have any of that, of like being super ultra close to your mom, like way close?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So because the baby that they feel that they hurt the mother. Even though we don't, because we come in as pure love, like love. We are pure love. And when we come in and we're not matched with that same amount of love, we feel like we did something wrong. The baby always takes responsibility. What did I do? Why don't they want me? And so like that's one of the things too, that when you're in an incubator, when you're separated from your mother, the baby has a thought, what did I do? Why doesn't she want me? Why don't they want me? I have to be separated to survive. Those kind of thought are, they're very prime, really deep thoughts, but those are the pre-verbal thoughts that can manifest with cesarean births of your type. Do any of those resonate with you?
Yeah, especially because I'm super close to my mom. And what did you say? The something else that you said resonated. Like what did I do?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Even though you were a miracle baby and you were the first of the twins, which is, that helps. I'm sure there was some joy and jubilation at your birth for that. But as far as what you're interpreting, your neurological, not neurological, um, neurochemical response. That's your neurochemical response. That's you. What did I do? Where's mommy? It's just, and so it's like over. And so that's where even a type of codependency for some people, like over, uh, feeling responsible for the health and wellness and vitality and joy of the mother. And sometimes it can be hard on the person as an adult. So, but
Mhm.
those can be worked through. They're programs, and programs, just like an old program from 10 years ago in our computer. If it doesn't work anymore, move the program out, put a new one, put a 2012, a 2012, put a 2022, put a new am in, you know, and that's really, I'm serious. It sounds like I'm simplifying it, but I'm not kidding. That is the basic premise of it. You find out what the old one is that you're still running on, that you think, oh my gosh, I'm still running on that. I don't want that. That's why that's happening. No. And then you move on to something else. So anyway, thank you for sharing. Anybody else have
Thank
one?
you.
Anybody else have another one they'd like to share about what their takeaway or something big they learned today? Or
I was like with Latasha too, of just being just the ahas about, the pre and perinatal psychology. I'd known about it, but there was even as I was just listening to you to talk, um, one of my biggest takeaways is I've done some work on my own birth, as my mom was forced. They're like, oh, are you having some pain? Well, I mean, like, what kind of crazy question is that when you're giving birth? Anybody giving birth? And my mom has a really high pain tolerance, so without her knowing, they just like put a mask on her, to to send her into La La Land, and she was like fighting it, like, no, because she wanted to be awake. And so my whole takeaway for most of my life is I don't have a voice.
yes,
I
there
don't
you,
have
that's
a
exactly right. That's right.
I don't have a voice. And so then when I was pregnant with my son, and this just came to me today, so this was so good, is that a month before he was born, I was in a work situation and received a very poor review of my work. And anybody that knows me, like, I'm like high achiever, like excellence, Um, and 2 weeks before, from this same person, I had received a stellar review, but I had moved into a new position. It was within the county, and all of a sudden, I'm horrible. Now I'm horrible, and I'm pregnant, and I was so angry. Once again, didn't feel like I had a voice, to the place that my mom and my husband said, "You have a child in you." And I was raging. I've never raged like that before. And so now that guilt, because my son has so many issues, like his whole growing up years with anger and like managing his emotions. And so like I feel like I broke him. And I'm laughing about it, but I feel like, oh my gosh, but I know it's in my family lineage that
But
there's
how
this.
it, but you notice how it's in your lineage, it's neurochemically passed. It's not, and it's learned behavior via the neurochemicals. It's not like it's in your DNA. But
Yeah.
there are ways that you can reprogram this. I promise you.
Okay.
I promise you, there are.
Thank you.
I know there are. That's why, like I said, 75% of my clients are forceps and C-section birth for a reason, because they have these things. They don't know why. They don't know why I get angry. But you hear what I'm saying? They
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
he was C-section. He was C-section,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
my next one was almost forceps. And I told him, I'm like, you got to get out now. And he did, and now he's the kid that, don't push me. I will do things on my time.
Oh, that's awesome. Take charge. I love it.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
so
but
our,
thank you.
you're welcome. But babies are, they're just as powerful as we are. They're just in little bodies and they can't talk yet, but they are full on soul, just like we are. And they are programmed. Our limbic system, our emotional system starts, way in utero. So we start downloading that stuff. So yeah, but again, it's a program that can be changed. So we don't have to live with it. The beginning, all healing begins in recognizing it. And once you recognize it, then, like Oprah says, when you know better, you do better. And when you see you've got it, then do something. Don't say, oh, that's just me. No,
Yeah.
if you don't like being mad at everybody, then do something about it, Okay, so I'm almost done. Okay, so I became a positive mindset coach. Oh, any other takeaways? Okay. By the way,
Evelyn put something in the chat, just so you know.
Okay, thank you. I didn't see that.
Okay.
Okay, she says I was probably born via forceps because that was normal 50 years ago. That's true. To a mom who was going through trauma of being in an arranged marriage to a man she later learned was a bad. Absolutely, Evelyn. from what just that sounds like, because guess what? A lot of times the babies choose to not come out when things are bad in the marriage or out there. They'll still say, and they'll stay in longer. And that's, I had one woman, she actually crawled back in. I didn't know that was, but when I told somebody else that, and I said, yeah, she was a nurse. She says, yeah, I've seen that happen. They crawl back in. And guess what? This woman was so unwanted. Her parents were teenagers. Her mother's mother disowned her and said, you can't even, if you're pregnant, I don't want you in my house, get out. So she had to go find another place to be pregnant and live. And then a few days before she was born, my client was born, the mother says, all right, come on back. She didn't even have a crib or anything. They took a drawer and that was her crib with a blanket in it. Everybody was fighting about her mom being pregnant. What are we going to do with this new baby? Everybody was fighting. And so she didn't want to come out to this war. She crawled back in. Can you believe that? Yeah, I know. So sometimes they know what's going on out there. They just do. So Evelyn, I'd love to work with you on that. I promise you you don't have to, there's a life that you have no idea how smooth and easy it is that is outside of your understanding because of your experience. I'm telling you. And my daughter was forceps. So I had the firsthand with learning her. One summer, almost every new client I had all summer long was a forceps. And it was almost like I'm saying, okay, God, you want me to learn this subject. I get it. I'm learning. So I can almost pick them out just by their energy. So anyway, thanks for sharing that, Evelyn. Okay, so I talked about, I'm helping. So my thing is I'm all about helping women find their empowerment because there's a way out. We do not have to live in pain and suffering just because it's what we know. It doesn't have to be that way. There's a way that you can feel, strong and alive and passionate and purposeful and all of that stuff. And I'm a living example of that. I've done, as you see, I did that with my own life. So I'm committed to helping as many women break through their self-perceived limitation and experience the empowerment joy at their highest level. I mean, big time, like beyond. So I'm clear about how these deep subconscious programs can sabotage joy. I know how they do it. I see it. You just in this little bit right here. Do you see how in the world, how does that happen? It just does. So, and I've seen hundreds of their clients turn their lives around. Like it's just, so Emily, her name's Emma. She was a forceps birth and she was so angry at the world and her partner, and she turned it inward. She was that inward anger person. And it showed up for her as depression and isolation and blame. She blamed her partner for always taking the limelight and at the parties and stuff. But actually my Emma was the one who shrunk, and her thing when she was a child, she shrunk. But anyway, she felt invisible and she was actually pushing people away without realizing it. And then she took my program and she's now in a vibrant relationship, socializing, having fun, and enjoying her big bright light. And I want to show you what I got from her last week. I thought this was cool. And she didn't even know I was putting this class together. This is from Emma. She said it to me. She said, it's weird to look back at pictures of me a few years ago when I was so miserable and angry. You helped me find joy again. Your program gave me the steps and tools to really enjoy my life now. Thank you. Yep. I know. It's almost like she heard me say, send me something. I want to quote you. So when women commit to getting support on their journey, which makes such a difference rather than trying to do it themselves, or self-help books are fine, but at some point you still need, and especially forceps people who don't want support. So I'm bashing through you guys. That's why I had you visualize a door. I want you to see moving through a door and to trust that support can be good. It can be safe. It can be something that you can choose for yourself. So what I've seen is that the women that I've been helping on their inner journey, a few things. First, they begin to see that their life becomes easier and more supportive. They start seeing evidence of that. And then they begin to notice that their inner knowing is actually speaking to them, and they learn to understand it. I teach them how to understand what these signs have been saying to them forever, and they didn't know that they were signs. They didn't know how to interpret it. And then thirdly, their joy and creativity expands. And they begin to glow, and their friends ask, what have you been doing? Oh my gosh, you're just shining. And it's true. I mean, it's just, they smile more, they sleep better, their relationships are better, everything changes. So maybe you've struggled with anger and irritation and felt powerless and unworthy, or maybe you're at a loss about your future. Maybe you're missing that feeling of joy, or maybe you've never felt it at all. Or possibly you're feeling alone and unloved. You can learn the tools, and I'll share them with you so that you can learn how to trust the ease of life. Trust that support can feel good. Learn to love yourself well. Enrich all your relationships. Align with your purpose and your passion, and be excited about your place in life. You can learn to experience ease and joy and peace and lasting love. You can learn to feel wanted and feel safe. You can learn to shift your current perspective to one that's truly different and powerfully supports the new you. I know how, and I would be honored to be your guide. So I recommend you consider joining me in creating for you an individualized plan and the steps you'll take as I lovingly support you. In your Joyful Life Breakthrough Plan, you'll get a free step-by-step program where you'll see how you can learn resilient strategies for moving through obstacles that you encounter. A spiritually grounded and enlivening plan with guided steps to your big and wonderful future. You know, it breaks my heart that women have to struggle with being stuck and depressed about their life when it's supposed to be so awesome. It's supposed to be full of miracles and joy all the time. Awe and wonder is a part of a natural life. And when, when people don't feel that, they're really not living. They're just kind of existing. So I'm committed to helping women find their joy and their passion and their authentic power. And this Joyful Breakthrough Plan is the first step on the journey. And it's the first step on your journey to an amazing life of ease and wonder and possibilities. So that's why I've opened 10 one-on-one spots in my calendar today and tomorrow to sit down with some of you and get your individualized tools so that you can begin to create more ease and joy in your life. And you can see if it's a fit for you to do more work together with us. And it'll also give you a chance for me to create a mini plan for you. And then during this session, we'll access your biggest challenge, and then we're going to lay out a basic plan. And if it's a fit to do more work, I'm committed to helping you create a life that you feel has more clarity, love, fun, and joy. And by the way, no pressure. I just want you to feel better, and it feels good to help people who want to go there. I mean, it's my greatest joy. So I know what ease and belonging feels like. Purpose and pleasure are who I am. Passion and joy is as close as my breath. And I'd love to show you step by step how to create an amazing world for yourself. I have what I know works for me and hundreds of my clients. So here, if you'd like to set up a free 15-minute class with me today or tomorrow, I have 10 openings, and you can either go to the Calendly website right here, or you can take your phone and you can snap the QR code, and it'll show you the times that I have available. And we can talk about your individualized plan, what's been not working in your life, what kind of things you want to work with, maybe, and everybody's different. So everybody's plan will be different. So I would love to work with you. And, even if you're just curious, like I said, there's no commitment. There's no pressure. Let's just see, talk. Let's just talk and see what happens. All right.
Can you show it again?
Sure. So this Calendly, and there are 10 spots open from immediately after this class through tonight, and then also tomorrow. And if you know of someone who you think would learn from this class that I gave today, I'm repeating it tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time. So you can, I'll put the link in the chat, and you can let them know about it. But That's what I got. Let's see, probably, yeah, let me get that and put that in the, so any final questions from any of you? So as I said,
I just want to say thank you. It was really, really beneficial.
you're
Thanks.
welcome. I just love it. And here we go. So this is the one at 7 that I just put in there. Oh, okay. Thank you, Wendy. So that's it. And I sure do appreciate you guys being here. And if you have any questions about anything, I wrote a book, by the way, called The Other F Word, 7 Days to Forgiving Anyone. And that has a lot about what I've talked about today, the birth types and where they come, you know, what characteristics. So you can get that on Amazon or barnesandnoble.com.
Evelyn put in the chat if the recording would be available
So
online.
it'll be available for anyone who registered. I'm going to send them a link that'll be good for 24 hours. So you can watch it again. And I'm going to turn the recording off.